Welcome to The Explainer. So, what if you could build a device right there in your garage that could power your home, your car, even your phone forever? Today, we are diving into a set of documents that promise exactly that. It's a supposed DIY guide to limitless, free energy that, if real, could change, well, pretty much everything.
It all kicks off with this really powerful promise from one of our sources. Just think about that for a second. A car that never needs gas or a charge, ever again. That's the vision they're selling here, a totally transformed world. So how on earth is that supposed to be possible?
Well, the answer, according to the source material, lies in something called the Free Energy Dynamo. This is presented as the technology that could not only power that car we just talked about, but could solve the entire energy crisis.
And the applications they claim are, honestly, staggering. We're not talking about some niche little gadget here. This is pitched as a one-stop solution for everything. Powering your home, replacing every battery you own, keeping your phone powered up forever, and even fueling the whole commercial transport industry, from trucks to container ships. Okay, so that's the big promise. But how would you actually build one? One of our main sources is a video that gives a step-by-step guide for making a device they call the Liberty Engine 2.0. Let's walk through the instructions they lay out.
All right, so the first thing you have to do is get your hands on a key component from a pretty common household appliance. The video shows the creators taking apart 4 different microwaves to get the primary coils. They explain that these are going to form the core of the engine's stator. That's the stationary part of the motor.
Next up, you need a custom rotor, and this is important. The source is very specific that this rotor has to be made from a special alloy of silver and aluminum. They claim this particular blend is what makes the device so incredibly efficient. Once that rotor is built, you take these super strong N52 neodymium magnets, and these are like some of the most powerful permanent magnets you can buy, and you carefully glue them into slots using epoxy resin. Then you seal them up, locking them into place for good.
All right, for the final assembly, all the pieces get mounted onto a custom-built frame. Now, the source really hammers this point home. The alignment of the rotor between the coils has to be absolutely meticulous, like down to the millimeter. They say that's totally essential for the engine to work at all.
So after all that work, what happens? The video shows them giving it a manual pull start. You know, kind of like a lawnmower. The engine spins up, a bunch of lights come on, and, well, the creators declare the test a success. And the result they claim? An unbelievable 20,000 watts of maximum power output. Just to put that in perspective, that's more than enough power to run your oven, your microwave, and your dishwasher all at the same time. And all of it apparently is coming from this one little device.
But hold on. This raises a massive question, right? How does a motor that you start by hand then magically keep producing power with no fuel, no batteries, no anything? The source material actually gives us 2 very different explanations.
So on one hand, you have this kind of technical-sounding reason. The source claims that the special silver and aluminum rotor gets rid of something called Foucault currents, which are basically these stray currents that create drag and waste energy in normal motors. But then the explanation takes a really sharp turn. The documents say that the real reason the engine works is because it's an application of a science that involves an anti-gravity waveform.
And they give this theory a name: zero field propulsion. And just like that, we're not just talking about powering a car anymore. According to the source, this is the secret science that could let us build vehicles that can travel between stars, close to the speed of light.
Okay, let's just pause here for a second. If a science like this existed, one that could give us free energy and interstellar travel, you'd think it would be the biggest news story in human history. So where exactly does the author claim this knowledge comes from?
And this is where the story shifts from something that sounds, maybe plausible on an engineering level to something way more esoteric. The source gives a very, very unique answer.
So yeah, it's not from a university or some big research lab. The author claims this incredible knowledge comes from something he calls asinine technology. He actually calls himself a third-level professor of this method, which he says lets him translate books from asinine English into English to find hidden truths. And which books hold these incredible secrets? Well, not scientific journals. The knowledge supposedly comes from personal revelations from what the author calls my voices and from classic children's books. No joke. The text says the secrets of zero-field propulsion are hidden in Alice in Wonderland and that the story of Pinocchio contains something else really important. And apparently, this isn't just some harmless thought experiment. The source throws in a really stark warning, suggesting that this research is not only revolutionary, but seriously dangerous. The author literally writes that anyone working on this stuff would need special armor to stop them from flying up through the roof at the speed of light.
So, okay, let's pull back from the, let's call it unusual theory, and look at the world the sources imagined if this technology was actually real. What would the day-to-day impact be?
The biggest impact they talk about is the total elimination of fuel. For rockets, that would change everything about space travel. For cars and trucks, getting rid of fuel costs would, as the source argues, make everything that gets transported way, way cheaper.
And the argument they make goes beyond just convenience or money. The source frames this whole shift away from fossil fuels as a kind of moral and environmental crusade. They connect oil use to a devilish plot to melt the ice caps and create adverse weather conditions.
So what we have here in the end is this complete, and let's be honest, pretty wild vision. It starts with parts scavenged from a microwave, and it ends with a totally new destiny for humanity out among the stars. It's a journey from a garage workshop to a complete reordering of society, which leaves us with one final thought. If any of this was real, if you actually had limitless energy at your fingertips, what would you do with it?